Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
What's going on? How y'all doing tonight?
Good evening. Glad to be on another night and just excited to talk about marriage and all of the great things that God is doing with marriage.
Yeah. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
You all right?
Yeah.
Look, we excited about tonight, y'all. Come on, get on here, everybody. Come on here. Come on here. We got something to say.
Share. For those of you that are coming on, we asking that you would share this video and that it would be a blessing to other married couples. We are really excited about being on tonight and just being able to share our experiences with marriage and some of the things that have transpired. My God, we have been through a lot, but we thank God for His grace and His mercy and just allowing us to make it through.
Yes, listen, y'all, we made it. We made it through 14 years in. My wife and I, look, we made it in. I see them hearts popping up. Come on, y'all, give us some hearts. Give us likes. Let us know y'all on here.
Likes, share, guys.
Do it all.
Share.
Do it all.
We want to welcome you guys that are coming on with us. We appreciate you being on with us tonight. We just want to thank all of you for your support and those of you that have been watching the videos and been sharing them. We are encouraged to see that people are being blessed by our testimony and some of the things that me and my husband have endured and been through, and we pray that your marriage is blessed as a result.
Absolutely. So we like my wife just said, we're excited about you all. Thank you guys for supporting us. This has been this is the start of a new year. We kicked it off last week. And you know, we're going to continue on this week. We are in the process, just kind of, you know, just going to remind you guys of getting our show together, our talk show together.
Yes,
it is going to be great.
Woo, woo, woo.
And in the coming weeks, we are going to announce the date. Listen, it's going to be it's going to be big. It's going to be great. I believe it's going to really help somebody. And so we are so excited about that. So look, as you guys get on here, comment, let us know that you're on here. Let us know where you're calling from. Talk to us. We want to hear from you.
Share,
we want to hear from you guys.
Let's talk tonight.
Yes.
Let's talk tonight. So we want to thank everybody that came out with us on our first group night in 2018. It was amazing. Fun.
It was amazing. My wife and I, listen, with the support we got was really wonderful. Thank y'all for coming out. Thank you guys for just bowling with us. We had a really good time. We had
Donovan. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, and so look, we went out bowling, and it was a good time, especially for the husbands. It was a really good time, especially for the husbands. You hear me? I mean, we listen. We got it in.
Pastor Philip, thanks for joining us.
I mean, both games.
Selena, Bishop Chris, thanks for coming on with us tonight.
Thank y'all. She's trying to get me off the subject, off the fact that them ladies, you know, we did it. We kicked, you know, we wore y'all out. Kicked y'all tails a little bit, you know, on the bowling thing, and so. Both games, the men took it.
Pastor Shonda, thanks for joining us.
Uncle Fool, Troy Concord, I see you, baby.
Thank you guys for joining us. We're excited about being on tonight. We're not thinking about what happened in bowling. The men cheated. And so what we're getting ready to do, we're going to, first we want to introduce ourselves. If it's your first time being on with us, my name is Nina Guyton.
And I'm Ronald Guyton.
And we're the senior leaders of Manifested Power, also the founding leaders of Marriage Matters here in Indianapolis.
Yes.
We are really excited about what God is doing through marriages. And so if you know of a married couple that wants to be a part and just join us on our outings and on our events, please share, invite them, let them come on out and be with us. It's exciting about what God is doing in this new season with marriages. It
is. We are looking forward to the first quarter of this year is really going to be a big one. As we all know, we are planning something for around Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And so next week we'll have all the details about what we're going to be planning for Valentine's Day. That's going to be a great time for us, and we want to make sure that we do something special with our couples and things like that. And so, but we appreciate you guys for coming on. We appreciate you all for all the support, like I've said already, that you already have given us. And so tonight we want to kind of dive into a topic that I think people don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And our title tonight is what? Is it cheating or nah? Ain't that what they say in this? You know, I'm kind of old, so I don't even know if I said it right.
You're not that old.
I am. I'm a little old.
But yeah, it's really
I'm
is
grown
dealing
out here.
with.
I was born in the 80s.
It's really with dealing with what do we really define as cheating? We know that a lot of different couples define cheating or going outside of the marriage differently.
Yeah.
They see things differently. There are certain things that married couples have agreed upon in their marriage, just because one over the other one may feel that this is too far or this is too much. And so we wanted to kind of touch on what really is cheating in a marriage. Yeah. What really is going too far. How do you really define that? And so what's really too far at the end of the day? Some people would consider talking to the opposite sex, or hanging out with them without your spouse, or speaking on the phone with them without your spouse, or whatever the case is. There are a lot of different ways that we will interpret, oh, that's cheating, or I find it to be disrespectful to my marriage. Yeah. And so tonight we want to kind of really touch on that and just kind of just define and just lay out what it really means to be cheating in marriage.
Listen, because I think we kind of, I don't know. Listen, we kind of get into this thing where it's like some people, not everybody obviously, but some people will they'll think cheating is simply going out and having physical contact with somebody, and feel like, hey, I'm only cheating if this occurs. But what we want to kind of get into tonight is kind of breaking down, like, hey, it's cheating in a whole lot of other ways outside of having physical contact or physical sex with another individual, whether it's opposite sex or same, because we got that too in this generation, where people feel like, well, if it's the same sex or whatever, then I'm not really cheating. But if it's the opposite sex, it is. And so we kind of want to break that down because we need to deal with this infidelity thing that is in marriage, in both men and females.
Yes, because men get it extremely hard. Yeah. They tend to always be looked at as the ones that always go in and cheat and mess the marriage up. But there's a whole lot of women out there too that have no issue with going outside of their marriage, or if they feel that their needs are not being met at home, they feel like it's just okay to go have those needs met elsewhere, whether it's accepting money from another man, and to provide for your needs, or to do whatever. Sometimes, it's like my husband said, sometimes we define cheating simply as if something physical or sexual happens, and then we're like, okay, they cheated or they disrespected the marriage. But there are a lot of ways to go outside of your marriage, outside of just a physical sexual relationship. Absolutely. And so we want to kind of deal with that today, because it's very important that you understand that there are a lot of things that you can do in your marriage that is disrespectful, that is unfaithful to your spouse, and it is not appropriate. And like I said, it's because we all have different definitions for what cheating really is. Absolutely. And I've heard people say, well, it's not cheating, I didn't have sex with this person, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, so I didn't technically cheat on them. You cheated, fam. Or that I did engage sexually with a person, but it didn't go to it didn't mean nothing. And so it's like, my heart wasn't in it. I was just there. We want to really define what that is. And so I want to kind of give you some definitions for some of all of the different ways that we look at cheating. So cheating is an act of dishonesty or unfairly in order to gain an advantage. Yeah. Especially in a game or an examination. So, and then to be unfaithful is to engaging in sexual relationships with a person other than the one's regular partner, or covenant partner, or whatever. And then infidelity is a violation of a couple's assumed or stated contract regarding emotional and or sexually exclusively. So it is very much possible to go outside of your marriage emotionally. Absolutely. Listen, let me tell you something. Having conversations, I kind of talked about this a long time ago. Flirting is like a gateway drug. You understand what I'm saying? Like, flirting is so dangerous, because when you flirt, all you're doing is opening up possibilities. You're opening up thought processes. You're opening up something that was a fantasy, or something that you thought was a fantasy to become a reality. And so when you flirt with an individual, all you're doing is opening up your spirit. Listen, when you open up a door, listen, the enemy's want to kick it wide open. The word of God says, a little leaven, what does it do? It leaveneth the whole lump. In other words, what that means is that if you give the enemy a little bit, I'm talking about just a small hole, if you give him just any
anything to go on, he's going to kick that door wide open. So what we need to do is that we need to see these conversations as inappropriate. Once we see them as inappropriate, then we'll stop engaging in these kind of conversations. Why? Because when you listen, you know when you're flirting, you know when you're trying to get a rise out of somebody. Some people, you know, before you got married, or even while you're still married, it does something to your ego. But what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself with an individual that want to take it further than flirting. And listen, and you're just not that strong. Do not ever think you are that strong to be able to say no when the time comes, when somebody actually presents something to you, when it progresses from being just a conversation to now I want to go further than this. I want to actually meet you at a hotel. I want to actually, go out on a date with you. You know what I'm saying? So stop flirting with people. It is a gateway drug. You know how some people say marijuana is a gateway drug, and over time you're going to not get high anymore, and you're going to want to smoke something harder. Well, guess what? If you keep flirting, you're going to want to do something else. So just stop flirting. Stop having conversations with people. If you know they want you, don't even give them your number. Don't call. Don't do anything. Say, hey, I'm sorry. I know you. If you got to be direct as possible. I know you want me. I don't want you. I'm married. We can be cool, but if you can't stop this, then we can't even be cool.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, and I completely agree with my husband, but one of the things that I would say that you need to do in your marriage is that you guys have to come into agreement and an understanding on what cheating means to the both of you guys.
Absolutely.
What it means, because you can be together and you guys can both have two different interpretations of what cheating is.
Absolutely.
So your husband could feel like it's okay to be hanging out with other women or whatever the case is, and you may have a problem with it, or you may think it's okay to sit up on the phone with the opposite sex, another man, all day and not have a problem with it, but he may have a problem with it. So one of the key things to even define in your marriage what being unfaithful is, what cheating is, what is disrespectful to your marriage is by you both coming together and getting an understanding and defining what that means to you. Because cheating, being unfaithful, all of these things can be interpreted by everybody differently. Some people, I know I had male friends coming up in high school, and I hung with probably more males than I did female, and I'm sure my husband, he had his relationship set up. But when I became married, that just because that was something that I was accustomed to doing does not mean that would be appropriate to my husband to continuously to have male relationships. Somebody had asked on the line as my husband was speaking, what about a man that spends, I guess, the majority of his time with another woman? Well, that's a problem, because that has the potential to open up the door to something that should not be. I just believe that yes, in a spouse, in a marriage, that you should be able to have healthy relationships with the opposite sex outside of your marriage. By all means, I'm not saying that you should not be allowed to communicate with the opposite sex, but you should not be spending more time with any man or woman more than what you are spending with your spouse, because it has the potential to open up doors that will create something that should not be, that will eventually lead to cheating. Because one way, if they're spending all their time with the opposite sex, it opens the door to potential conversations, things that just should not be discussed that they probably should be having with you. They'll be having those needs met through the opposite sex, and it will eventually go over into something that it shouldn't.
Listen, when you start dealing with whether you're male or female and you're dealing with the opposite sex, just naturally you have a natural attraction to the opposite sex. And so what happens is it may start out as something that just very genuine, may not be anything anything negligent at all. It may not be nothing. You may not go into it with the mindset that said, I'm going to do this or do that. But what happens is when you begin to confide in people, because intimacy is oftentimes defined as only in the bedroom. But no, when you begin to confide in people, when you're spending all this time with people, what's going to happen is that you're going to begin to talk to them. If you're having problems at home, you may talk to them about that stuff. If you're having problems, if you have an argument with your wife, you may begin to deal with with them, and if this person is a real shoulder for you to lean on, and especially listen, don't let them have problems too. Don't let them be going through with their husband if she's married.
Yes.
And so what's going to happen is that you guys are going to begin to confide in one another, and the conversation that you should be having with your wife or with your husband, you having with another person, and you kind of feel like, okay, well, you know, you start to just naturally just start getting feelings for people.
It's unfulfilled
needs. That is why you don't spend more time with as a male, or you know, as a man. I'm just speaking from a man. You don't spend more time with another woman than you do your own wife. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just inappropriate. It's inappropriate, and like we said before, it'll lead to different things. Why? Because I have a natural attraction. Don't let her be attractive. Don't let her be something that you see qualities in her that you may love, or it's like whatever. You know, you're a hard worker. I've been looking for this. If your wife didn't fulfill something, like my wife said already, if she didn't fulfill something at home and you feel like this quality is in this individual, I'm telling you, the enemy will use everything. She looked at you a certain way. She walked past. Now you all of a sudden noticing how she walked. You all of a sudden noticing that she wears a certain kind of makeup all the time. You need to understand that when you start spending time with people, that's when the door of intimacy opens up. And when you're being intimate with another individual outside of your husband or your wife, then guess what? The problem is that door is open, and it is. You might as well just scream danger, because all it is the danger sign. You might as well just say, hey, look, there's it's red tape everywhere, and this thing is getting hot, it's getting heated, and once you open that door, it's going to be hard to come back, because we are people. We are human beings. We are people with real
desires, with real things, and we have to be careful when we start spending time with the opposite sex, and we start having those relationships outside of our marriage. Yeah. Because if we are not careful, it will lead to something inappropriate. It's not a matter on if, it will.
It's a matter of time.
It will lead to something inappropriate. Now, like I said, I am in favor of spouses and marriages allowing for you to have healthy relationships with the opposite sex outside of your marriage. I do happen to believe that you can have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex outside of your marriage, but when it begins to move into a place where you would rather spend more time with this individual than with your spouse, any person that you are spending time with that replaces or that you are starting to express emotion or just feelings or whatever that should be reserved for your spouse has now moved into an area where it is inappropriate. And it will only be a matter of time before something will happen. Just something. Somebody will communicate some kind of inappropriate feelings or something, because you cannot spend that type of time with any person more than your spouse and expect something inappropriate to not come out of that.
Absolutely. And so look, as you guys come on here, listen, we thank you guys for coming on. As you guys come on here, listen, share this, give us some hearts, give us some likes, let us know you're on here. Comment. We thank you guys for commenting and things like that. But kind of share this post. I feel like we need to talk about this subject matter. People need to hear it, simply because there's a lot of cheating going on in marriages.
There's a lot of cheating going on, and it happens in the church. It happens
outside
of the church. It happens in the pulpit. It happens in the pews. It doesn't matter. Cheating is very relevant. It's just happening, and we're just going on and acting like, oh, it's not a big deal. Or we just, we argue about it in secret and just kind of whatever the case is. But the reality is that we need to get healed in our marriages and whole and healthy, so that we do not tolerate this type of behavior and we don't engage in it. When you are not happy in your marriage, and when something is going on dysfunctional in your marriage, the solution is not to go out and find somebody to fulfill that need.
It's not.
And oftentimes that's what happens. We bypass communication with our spouses and conversations that we should be having, and we go and we find somebody to fulfill that need. Whether we feel rejected or we feel like we're not getting the attention we need, whatever. And so we go out and we look for that, and we want to fulfill that part that we're not getting. And as a result, we invite dysfunction and we invite the enemy into our homes because we don't know how to come together in a healthy way and resolve the issues that are going on in our houses.
Listen, the enemy does not ever want to see anything come together in terms of family, in terms of marriage, in terms of he hates that. And so what happens is when we are not aware, sometimes we're not aware. Sometimes we do go into this thing blind. We go into it very naive, and sometimes also it could be the other individual. You never know. I'm telling you, you never know. It could be the other individual. You never had desires to cheat on your wife, never had desire to cheat on your husband, but the other people are like, hey, I've always had an interest in him, and I don't care about breaking up a marriage.
Yes, because that happens too
all the time. And so let me tell you something. You need to be alert. You need to be aware, and do not be naive when people are approaching you with even certain conversations with certain. Hey, do you when they ask you about your wife? Listen, don't let nobody talk about your husband or your wife. You hear me? Don't let nobody talk down negative about your husband or your wife. If you brought up something, don't even bring up nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Because people, the enemy, I'm telling you, the enemy is looking for a reason to break up something. He's looking for a reason to shut down a covenant relationship. When you are in covenant, Satan hates that. He loves to break up marriages. I'm going to say it again. He loves to break up marriages. But as individuals, we need to be aware of the signs. We need to be aware that we are not, that we are not going to engage, entertain anything that will be a hindrance, that will be a stumbling block, that will be anything that will come and drive a wedge between our covenant relationship. We have to be aware. And the reason we ain't even dealt with sex yet.
No.
We ain't dealt with sex yet, simply because it's so much other stuff that go on before sex even happens. It's so much other stuff. It's so many conversations, so many inappropriate text messages, so many inappropriate pictures being sent, so many emails, so many just, batting of the eyes, and folks walking, just walking past you. You heard that she likes this kind of cologne, so you made sure you went and bought it. So when you walk past it, you smelling good, things like that. You flirting and all this other stuff. We ain't even dealt with physical contact yet. It's a whole lot of other stuff that we can do. Physical contact, we already know that is. But the Word of God simply says that if you have committed adultery in your heart, then you've committed it already. Yes, so it's not just about the physical touch. We know that's cheating. I'm talking about some of these conversations that we're having with these men and these women are completely out of order. We sliding in inboxes. We sliding in DMs. Somebody just put it up there. We are sliding in DMs, and it's getting ridiculous, y'all.
All kind of stuff, and because we're convincing ourselves that it's not cheating, it's not inappropriate. But I'm gonna tell you this. If you can't do it with your spouse there in the room, then it is inappropriate. if you're awkward doing it, if he was standing there or she was standing there in your face,
I'm telling you.
Now you can say all you want to. You standing in the store, a woman walks past and is flirtatious with you, and you smile and you kind of flirt back, or even the female man does that. If you can't do that with your husband or your wife standing there, then it is inappropriate.
Absolutely inappropriate.
If you would only behave that way because you're by yourself, I'll give you a measuring rod. If you want to measure, okay, is this appropriate or is it not? Then just imagine that if that spouse was standing there, if you would have reacted the same way.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to have the same reaction with that spouse in the room, then 9 times out of 10, it is inappropriate, it is out of order, and you should not be doing it.
Listen, we're going to move to the next point in a second. But even if you guys have agreed upon some infidelity stuff.
Yes, the swinging.
These swingers, this swinging stuff is really...
Y'all don't get me started.
Boy, y'all swinging? We saved the swinging. Serious folks are really swinging out here.
Yes.
Making pacts with other couples to have sex with one another.
Come on, y'all.
Are y'all kidding me?
Like
this stuff ain't appropriate.
the stuff, the things that you're getting involved in is so much that you guys are tying yourself into emotionally by engaging in this kind of activity. You must stop this. It's just totally crazy.
Folks are swinging.
Now.
Stop swinging.
Stop
telling you,
please
stop swinging. I don't care how y'all feel about it. Quit swinging, because y'all it's inappropriate.
I don't care what kind of agreements y'all done came to, what kind of contracts you done entered into. You have opened the door to the enemy, and you have let the enemy into your marriage to begin to engage in that kind of activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in dealing with is it cheating or not, the fact of the matter is that we actually can be unfaithfully, whether it be mentally, sexually, spiritually, even we can be unfaithful to our spouses.
Absolutely.
So the first thing we need to understand is that we don't need to just categorize cheating and being unfaithful as just physical sexual intercourse.
Absolutely.
That is a form of cheating and being unfaithful to your spouse, but there are so many other ways that you can be unfaithful that does not involve physical activity. It's just the fact that you are taking emotions and things that rightfully belong to your spouse, and you are engaging in that with another individual in any form, any level, is being unfaithful to your spouse.
Yeah. My brother being silly. That ain't what Mint Condition was talking about. But for real, listen. As y'all get on here, like this and share this. This is something that needs to be talked about, y'all. Because my wife and I, we're senior pastors.
Our testimony as well. We have a testimony. We understand this topic.
Yeah.
Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, like we listen, we started out completely wrong, started out in adultery, started out in fornication, things like that. And so we know what it means to open up a door that didn't have to be open. You know what I'm saying? We could have done it the right way. We knew better, but we decided not to.
And how many of us know better but still make the choice to do what that flesh wants?
Yeah.
It just is what it is. We're people. and the reality is that it feels good to please the flesh. Mm-hmm. And so, the scripture says, to walk in the spirit so we won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's difficult at times to overcome the flesh.
Yeah.
But when you are married, you have to take authority.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to take authority, and you have to make the decision to do what's right.
And I want to say this. Do not ever trust yourself enough to say I can be put in a situation like that. A situation that says, hey, it's just foul. Especially if this was an issue for you. Even if it wasn't an issue for you, but especially if it was an issue for you, don't say, hey, I'm this strong. I'm strong enough to be able to handle flirting. I'm strong enough to be able to handle text messages. I'm strong enough and things like that. Don't even put yourself through that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to not know you have an issue, but it's another thing to know you got something going on and continue to engage. It's not always easy. We're talking about real topics and things like that, but we understand spiritual aspects of it too. We understand that deliverance needs to happen and things like that needs to happen. But I want to kind of just talk to you and just say, hey, I'm being rational. Let me make a rational decision. Let me not do something that I know is going to put my whole marriage in jeopardy.
And the thing is with just saying and doing things that we know is not right, we honestly do make a decision to do it. I can remember when my husband and I were dating and together, we would make the choice. We would have midnight calls.
Yeah.
Like we would be on the phone 12, 1, 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
We could actually go out and actually hang out during the day, but we
decided to go
connect at 11 o'clock at night. We were going out on dates at 9 o'clock. And so it's like, you make the choice to do these things. And so we just want to basically encourage you that before you step out to do something that's inappropriate or that it's going to be disrespectful or dishonorable to your marriage, stop and think about it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's really not worth it at the end of the day. So another point that we want to make is that, again, as we said, we do believe that the opposite sex can have healthy relationships and be married. But we also want to kind of deal with that controlling side.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes in marriages, there are one spouse over the other can be so controlling.
Absolutely.
And so worried that spouse is going to go out and do something that they shouldn't be doing,
Absolutely.
that they almost push their spouse into cheating and being unfaithful because they are always accusing them of something before they even,
Absolutely.
can even live their lives. You cannot control your spouse. You've got to have a marriage that's full of trust. And it may be difficult. Like if you're in a marriage where there was already cheating or infidelity or whatever the case is, there could be issues with trust.
Yes.
But if you make the decision to stay in that marriage, then you have to allow that individual to have a life, and you have to forgive them and release them. Now, if they get caught again, that's something y'all got to work out. But you cannot live your life trying to control somebody else's life, trying to control your spouse's life, because you don't have that trust there for when they go outside of those doors.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, you got to get to a place where you have to just release. You know what I'm saying? Release it. This is what it is. We're gonna live this thing healthy and things like that. And so we want to deal with this cheating thing because we want it to cease. We want it to stop. We wanted to be able to have relationships outside of outside of the marriage, outside of just you and your husband or you and your wife. But we have to be able to do this thing healthy and understand that certain conversations cannot be had. Certain, you know what I'm saying, just things cannot be said. Certain doors cannot be opened and things like that, because when they open up, it's going to be hard for them to close, And so before we even get to a bedroom, doors have already been opened, which is why it was easy to even walk through the bedroom. Absolutely.
So, what's too far? What actually is too far?
Yeah.
What is too far? in a relationship when you're married, what is too far? So I would say just it's going too far when you are, like we said earlier in the conversation, when you are spending time with anybody more than you're spending with your spouse.
Yeah.
Flirting should not be going on in a marriage with other people outside of your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some other things that are just simply just too far?
Just inappropriate texting. I think that we think if we just engage, like even just in inappropriate questions, inappropriate text messaging, especially pictures. You know what I'm saying? Don't send a picture. It don't even gotta be a fully exposed picture. Just don't send pictures and things like that. Texting and emails and Facebook messengers. Do not have private conversations with people about your home, about your relationship, about any of that. Don't do it.
Absolutely. Do not do it. So more so than ever, when you are married and when you are in a relationship, it is important that you do not allow boundaries to be crossed that will interfere with a healthy marriage.
Absolutely.
So another thing is pretty much that we want to deal with is just putting those healthy boundaries in place.
Yes.
So what do we do to put these boundaries in place? What are some of the things that we need to do? Well, first, I think that we need to when putting healthy boundaries in place, we need to come to an agreement, talk to one another, and find out what we need to do to begin to make things come together.
Absolutely. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to be open. And here's the thing. And sometimes, like I dealt with this already, but sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it's an individual that's trying to pull you into a situation, that's trying to engage you into something. And so part of the problem is when you engage. You know what I'm saying? It's like you opening yourself up to something. So sometimes it's not you. And if it is an individual, be open and honest with your wife. Like say, hey, look, I've been dealing with this on a regular basis. This person is trying to draw me into a conversation. This person is trying to pull me into something that I'm not. I ain't trying to go there with them. And so be honest and open. Put it out there. Yeah. Don't go behind their back and sneak and say different things like that. Don't do all that. No, don't. Say, okay, well, they was inappropriate today, but I ain't gonna tell my wife, because there's something in you that's trying to keep it secret, because it may have been, you may have liked what they said about you. You may have liked how they handled you and things like that. So yeah, be open and honest with your spouse about the situation.
Absolutely. Open and honest is important in dealing with marriage and even coming together and even establishing that covenant with one another.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, in order to properly be in a marriage and be together, you must establish the trust, the love, the commitment that is needed in order to be faithful to one another and to sustain your marriage.
Absolutely. So look, guys, when you guys get on here, share this. We got some folks on here that's scammers. So once it's over, we're gonna block everybody so they can get it out their system. And so so this is what we need to do. We need to understand. So we go
share this, and if
do
you
all this
guys
stuff.
Can block them off. But share this status and just Get this message out. We are excited about what God is doing in marriage. The one thing that I want to establish with wives and husbands is you must be able to trust one another.
Absolutely,
do not
y'all.
allow the enemy to come in and cause that confusion. Also, another thing that I want to kind of deal with is my husband kind of touched on it a little bit. There are a lot of times there are in marriages where you'll have people come in that will have the intent to tear the marriage up. A lot of people celebrate. There are some people that celebrate coming in and basically destroying a marriage by causing the husband to cheat or even pulling the wife a certain direction or whatever the case is. And so I think that it's important that you can block those doors and shut those doors of illegal access with people coming into your marriage by staying communicating with one another and just staying on one accord with one another.
Absolutely.
Throughout your marriage. So it's important that we just stay focused and stay on one accord with one another and just make sure that we continue to have strong marriages.
Absolutely. Listen, we want to. Our part of our agenda, part of our objective, is to make sure that marriages can stay intact. We want to be able to bring stuff to light, bring stuff to the forefront that we just may not talk about, that we just may not, be sometimes even comfortable talking about. And so, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we bring this stuff to light because cheating goes on a regular basis. It has ended several marriages. It has ended several covenants. I'm talking about God-ordained covenants has been ruined because of this. People get high positions, and it's just all of a sudden they just folks just start just wanting to be with them and things like that, or they just it is what it is. Whenever you have something good going, whenever you make a covenant, the enemy want to come in and snatch that covenant away. And so we want to kind of bring this to the forefront because you don't have to lose your marriage because of infidelity. You don't have to lose your marriage because of cheating. So the question that we asked tonight was, is it cheating or not? Simply because we want to make we want you to know. Yes, it is.
Definition for what cheating is.
Yes, it is.
You need to have a real definition for what cheating is.
Yes.
For instance, I know people that have an issue with their spouse saying hello to another person, or they don't want you being in the house alone with their spouse and they're not there. So there are a lot of different definitions that we all have as to what cheating is.
Absolutely.
And in me and my husband's marriage, we trust one another.
We do.
And so I don't have an issue with him talking to women. He doesn't have an issue with me talking to men. However, I'm not going to be on the phone with any male all day or 3, 4, 5 hours within a day.
Right.
I'm not going to do that just because it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't devote that kind of time to my spouse or to my children or to my home, I don't need to be devoting it to anybody else.
To nobody.
And so I think that it's really important that we, again, just establish what's appropriate. And I said it before, like, if you can't do it with your spouse in the room, and we all know there are some things that you will do when your spouse is not around that you would not do if they were standing there.
Wouldn't even pay yourself
and if
to do
you can't do that same activity and you say, oh, it's innocent, it's this, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I think that it is disrespectful to a marriage for you to be accepting money privately from the opposite sex and not sharing with your spouse what is went on. Why would you be doing anything like that?
Yeah.
I just feel like those things like that you need to be discussing with your spouse.
Yes.
And if you have to keep those things secret, then it may be because it's unhealthy or it's just something inappropriate going on there.
Whenever you keep anything like that secret, that's because you know it's wrong.
If you got to hold it a secret, then it's something that is inappropriate and probably should not be going on.
Should not be. And so we want you guys to, I'm going to say it again, share this, get the word out. It is not okay to engage in anything inappropriate with anybody of the opposite sex, or even, we keep saying opposite sex because that's just, but I'm talking about even the same sex. It's not okay.
Things are going on and people are feeling like, there are marriages that allow for their spouse to go off and to be in sexual relationships with same-sex partners because they don't feel that is considered cheating because it's same-sex.
Yeah.
If it's anybody outside of you, it is cheating.
It is cheating.
And it is inappropriate and it should not be going on.
Yes.
And wives, you are not allowing your husband to be satisfied through a fantasy that he's always desired to partake in by allowing him to bring another person into the marriage marriage.
Yeah.
And husbands the same way. I've heard about married couples that will allow for other people to come into their marriages to satisfy fantasies that the other individual may be having or may have always desired to do. And you some kind of way feel like that you are I don't know, that you are helping or fulfilling, you know, your spouse by allowing them to do these things, and you're opening the door to the enemy, and you're allowing a wedge to come into your marriage by allowing that, and that is nothing but the enemy to bring a divide and to break covenant and to bring dishonor into the marriage.
And going to these strip clubs with your husband and wife saying, I'm as long as I'm there with him, it's cool. It ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? As long as he, you
allowing
know,
them to lust over other women or
as long as you can see him getting the lap dance, it's okay. No, it's not. It's not okay. Stop over. It's all dysfunctional. It's all out of order, y'all. And seriously, and, you know, and people do that on a regular basis. Like, you know, it's cool as long as I'm with him or her. You know, it's okay as long as she's, you know, messing with another guy, but she can bring another. You know, she can holler at another girl all the time.
Whatever you're permitting in your face is going to be permitted when they're away from you.
When they leave. So
Bottom line, you have let the boundaries down. You have opened the door, and you have now allowed the enemy to come in and do what it is that he wants to do. And so you cannot allow these type of doors to come open and believe that they're only going to happen when you guys are one-on-one.
I'm telling you.
It's not going to happen. If you permitted it when you were standing there, it will go on outside of you being there.
It is permissible because what you're doing, you continuing to feed in, you continuing to feed into whatever lust they're dealing with, whatever issues they have, whatever problems they have. If it was a fantasy when they was in the world, then guess what? This fantasy is gonna have to cease. I'm your fantasy. I am the one that you need to be thinking about. I'm the one that should be on your mind. I'm the one that you should, dream about, being with and things like that. No. All this stuff has to cease, and I'm not going to give you any fuel to go on to fulfill a ungodly, a demonic fantasy.
It's lust.
It is a demonic fantasy that we have.
Lust is what will drive individuals to begin to cheat and begin to seek other things outside of their marriage. And the reality is that lust is never satisfied.
Absolutely.
I don't care what you do to fulfill it. It is never satisfied. And so you cannot give into lust in your marriage. And so for those of you that are watching, please share this. I hope this is blessing somebody. I hope that somebody is getting something that they need, because there is too much going on in the marriages these days. The new solution for if my marriage does not work is to just go find somebody else while I'm married.
I'm good.
I'll just move on. I'll be married and just move on in the marriage. And it's a trick of the enemy, and it's our generation. The generations before us, marriage meant so much, and people were married for
50,
40,
60
50, 60 years. They spent their entire lives with one another. And our generation, we want to empower a covenant and empower marriage and establish the honor that is deserved upon marriages, where people are not just saying, hey, this is not working, I guess I'll go find me somebody new. It's not that simple, and it's not that easy.
It is not.
And there are children that are tied into these marriages. There are homes that are tied, and it's not okay.
Families and
it's not
churches,
okay to
everything.
just be done away with it because you want something new or different. We've got to learn to fight for our marriages. We have got to learn to invest the time and energy that it takes to keep our marriages.
Absolutely,
we cannot allow the enemy to do what he wants to do with our marriages.
You need to love yourself enough, love your wife enough, love your husband enough to fight for this thing. Love them enough to say, hey, I won't let nothing drive a wedge between what we have. I understand it's not perfect. I understand we may not have started out right, but we're in this thing, and we're in this thing together. Don't let nobody, listen, and I've said this before, she doesn't look that good, y'all. You hear me? She ain't that thick. She ain't that fine. Her makeup ain't that beautiful. His muscles ain't that big. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. His beard game ain't on point
his
like
money,
that.
Oh,
Who
Lord,
cares?
women, his money.
His cash ain't on nothing.
It's that's another thing that I think that women almost feel like Jordans. They have permission to cheat because, like, say for instance, the spouse is going through a hard time, or he doesn't have the money to sustain the home, or whatever the case is, and then you just feel that it's okay to go be with a man that's going to spend money on you. Like, no, that's not okay. That is not okay.
Absolutely.
It's not okay.
We love you guys. We love you guys for coming on here, for supporting us. We thank you guys. This is our Marriage Matters video, talking about, is it cheating or not? You know,
yes.
There's a lot of things that we do before we actually physically do anything, and it is an issue. It is a problem. It is it is something that's been tearing down marriages, that's been tearing up covenants. It's been doing it for a long time, and we, as people, we want to make sure that we are not continuing to engage and continuing to do anything like that. Oh, I found out how to do one. Hey. No, seriously, we found out. I found out how to block somebody. And so I didn't know how to do it at first. And so we got a whole bunch of comments on here that's inappropriate. But and so what we did was my wife and I, we decided to talk about this topic because it is something that is happening. It is running rampant. And we're saved. We're saved. We're in the house of God. We doing what we got to do. We ministers of the gospel. But this is not just a conversation for people who are unsaved. This is a topic for people who are saved as well, because most of my friends are saved. A lot of the people that I see marriages kind of dwindle down and things like that are from individuals that does have a relationship with Christ. And so what we want to do, we want to make sure that, hey, we're not just putting this on the sinners. We're not just putting this on people that don't have a relationship with God. This is about people that have a relationship with Christ, people that don't have a relationship with Christ. This is about anyone who said, I do. And at the point, hallelujah, my God, that you step out and tip out and engage in inappropriate conversation, engage in inappropriate stuff, then you are doing your marriage an injustice. And what we're doing, we allow the enemy to come in to tear up something that we had that was good for a moment, for an instant. It is not worth it. Cheating, having conversation with somebody is not worth it, y'all. It is not worth it. Stop doing it. If you know you're having inappropriate conversations, stop doing it. If you know you're going to work on a regular basis and you got women in the office, men in the office, and y'all flirting back and forth, Pastors, let's just stop doing. Pastors,
quit flirting with your members.
Quit talking. Quit being
inappropriate.
Quit talking about this your son and your daughter, and you can't wait till they come in the office. Stop.
Yes,
stop. It's inappropriate. Stop. Get out of their inboxes. Stop DMing them. Stop going on Instagrams. You know, you liking every picture. It's funny that you only like the pictures that they was at the beach. You ain't like none of their ministry pictures, but you love all their pictures when they went to Florida and they got their swimming suit on. Talking about some glory to God. Y'all need to quit being inappropriate with these people and then hollering about their son or daughter. It's out of order. It is out of order. It's a big deal. It is something that's been going on for too long. Y'all stop messing with these girls. Y'all stop messing with these boys. It's not just spiritual fathers that's messing with these guys, that messing with folks. Some of these spiritual mamas too. Leave these men alone.
That's it.
Leave these men alone. Go get you a husband.
That's it.
Get you a husband. Let him love you. Stop loving on your son. It's perverted. Don't call him your son and sleep with him.
That's it.
Don't call him your daughter and sleep with them.
Amen.
It's out of order and it's inappropriate.
Amen. So cheating is going on across the boards. It's going on inside the church. It's going on outside of the church. And the reality is it is creating dysfunctional marriages, which in return is causing dysfunctional families and is birthing forth dysfunctional children.
Yes.
And so it is important that we begin to establish healthy marriages, strong marriages, so that it runs down into the family structure and that we're able to bring forth children that are blessed and that are able to be fruitful and continue to multiply. Yeah. And so I just think that it is really, really, really important that we just continue to stay focused in this hour and continue to just be focused on birthing forth marriages. So what I think we kind of really touched on a lot of it tonight.
On a whole lot of it.
Like what is just too far, and I would just absolutely say that anything that you are doing that is disrespectful or dishonorable to your spouse, it is considered inappropriate, and you need to stop it. And it probably needs to go within that cheating, unfaithful area. And tonight, let's just establish that cheating is not just physical sex. Yeah. Because that's the lie from the devil right there. oh, it's just, I didn't have sex with them.
Right.
I didn't, actually lay down and do anything with them. But I'm doing everything else.
Absolutely.
And so no, you need to be respectful of your spouse and be honorable to your spouse, because it's not okay.
It's not okay.
It is not okay.
It is not okay.
And then once cheating, because we also have marriages where cheating has went on, and we decided to still mend the relationship and still continue in the marriage, and that's great. We are all for reconciliation and coming together and being healed and moving to a whole place.
Absolutely.
But then there has to be that trust has to be reestablished, and we have to now allow each other to live and not feel like we have the right to control one another's lives.
Once you made the decision to say, okay, we're going to move past this, then we got to make the appropriate steps to move past it.
Yeah.
Even though it hurt, and we understand that, we are definitely sensitive to that. But we have to make the decision. If we're going to move past it, then we're going to move past it. If we have to, whatever we have to do, whatever counseling we have to go through, whatever talks we have to have, whatever meetings, conferences, whatever you have to do, whoever you need to talk to, whatever you got to do to get past it. When you make the decision to stay together after infidelity has happened, then you just need to do that. And because if you keep holding it up, then you never move past it. And it's like it happened. We're not trying to brush it up under the rug. We're not trying to say it never happened, but we are saying that it did happen. We're going to deal with it because we want to keep our marriage. We want to move past it, not act like it didn't happen. But your behavior, if you're the one that actually did the cheating, needs to change.
Yeah.
So don't expect him or her to just be all okay, just to be okay with it. Your behavior has to shift. They need to see a manifestation of your behavior shifting. You don't need to be on the phone at night. If that was your issue, you don't need to be sneaking out. If you got to say, hey, this is where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? Just to whatever you got to do, whatever you guys decide upon, but after we've made the decision to stay together, then we just need to stick to that, do whatever, put the appropriate processes and plans in place to move past it, because this marriage has to be healed. It has to be whole. It has to be healthy.
Absolutely. So, the reality is it's cheating.
It's cheating.
The answer to the question is it's cheating.
Yeah, it's cheating.
So we want to make sure that that we just define it as we said, and then that there's communication, and that we not open the door to things that are unhealthy and that will keep us from moving and progressing in our marriage. So we are not against relationships outside of marriage, like with the opposite sex, by no way, shape, or form. I think that provides for a healthy marriage, to be able to have friends that are of the opposite sex outside of the marriage. But I think that there needs to be proper boundaries in place, because there are definitely you definitely should not be allowing anybody to come into your marriage that is some kind of way meeting needs that should only be met by your spouse, whether it is financially, whether it's physically, sexually, mentally, whatever needs that you are lacking in your marriage, you should not be seeking those needs to be met or fulfilled by someone outside of your marriage.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, absolutely, the answer is it is cheating.
It is cheating.
It is cheating.
It is cheating. So is it cheating or not? Yes, it is.
It is.
It is. And so if you have any resolve, if you're not resolved about it, if you feel any kind of way about it, just don't do it. Love your husband, love your wife enough. I love my wife. She loves me, and if there's anything going on, I don't have no problem saying, hey, I'm good. Go ahead, leave me alone, fam. It is what it is. If you gotta hurt somebody's feelings, then you ain't gotta be mean to them, but their feelings gonna be hurt regardless, because it'll be a knock to their ego. It'll be a knock to them, because sometimes people just think they got it like that, to the point where, you'd be surprised. Folks seek out married folks. You know what I'm saying? So there are some people that seek out married folks to break them up. When I was 21 years old, I didn't have no problem talking to nobody married. That's just the reality. It wasn't nothing that I planned on doing, but it was like, okay, I got attention from one married woman, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm the man now, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And it's so inappropriate and so out of order. I know what that spirit is. You know what I'm saying? Because I dealt with that. And so I can see it coming from a mile away. So I know what it is. It's real subtle. It's like you never really mention it. You never mention that I want to take you from your husband or your wife. You just do certain things or whatever around them. And I had gotten used to it. You know, it was like a year or 2 year span where I was just completely out of order. You know what I'm saying? Like before I got married, it was like it's almost like I took pride in it. It's like, okay, well, you want me, you married, but you want me. Oh, okay, cool. You know, and they were older women. I was 20. It was like 30 years old. I'm like, but I was out of order, completely out of order. God dealt with me on that, and so I had to really get free from that thing, because it was a matter of like, okay, who are you? What are you doing? You know better than this. Your mama definitely raised you better than this. I didn't see this stuff happen. It was just something that I kind of fell into. But God delivered me and set me free, and so I can see that spirit from a mile away, and I know and I understand where people can come from. There are folks that seek out married men. They seek out married women for the simple fact they want to tear something up.
And how about, ladies, that whole thing that is something she's not doing at home? Yeah. And so you become comfortable with being that side chick or being that one that he runs to when he needs something that he's not getting. That's not okay to be celebrating the fact that you are, that he runs to you when he needs something mad or whatever the case is. Don't become that for anybody, because at the end of the day, his loyalty is going to be to his wife. Absolutely. At the end of the day. His loyalty is going to be to his children. His loyalty is going to be to his home. And even if it's not to them, you still don't need to be the one to be okay with. You just don't. To be okay with him just coming to deal with you when he doesn't have anything else better to do. I'm telling you. Don't ever celebrate because he made you second. I'm telling you. You just go get you a number one. Say that again, girl. Don't ever celebrate because he made you second. Please. That's not nothing to celebrate. It's nothing to celebrate that he's coming to your house and leaving his children. I'm telling you. Not taking care of his children or leaving his wife. Because guess what? Even if he becomes your husband one day, you will deal with the same thing that he did to his previous wife or children. And so don't do that. Don't be the instrument that the enemy uses to tear up a family. Absolutely. And if you're somebody that have been satisfied or okay with coming in between a marriage, then you need today make the decision that you are better than that. Repent. And that you are better than that, and that you are not going to let the enemy take advantage of you any longer and make you believe that it's okay to be low level. I'm telling you. You are not low level. Do not let the enemy tell you that you are. Don't ever be satisfied with that. I don't care what he's buying you. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what kind of bills he's paying. I don't care what kind of car he's put you in that you're driving, or the nice places that he's taking you, or whatever the case is. You are worth more than that. I'm telling you. Do not become satisfied with being second. Absolutely. Men, don't be so ego driven to the point where it's like, okay, I feel like this is a notch on my belt. This is something that it'll give me points with my guys or whatever. And so do not be that. Do not be the type of guy that will say, hey, I'll throw it all away for a simple night. Be able to handle, be able to allow your spirit to overtake your flesh. Your flesh is weak. It is, all of our flesh is weak, but it's a matter of understanding. This is something I've dealt with. It is a problem, especially with men when it comes to, because the perception is when you're a man and you have multiple sexual partners and things like that, it is, it is to be celebrated. But when women do it, it's to be degraded. No, it's the same thing with men. There are men that fall into whoredom and things like that, and we don't want to be there. We don't want to open these doors up to our sons. We don't want to open these doors up because we think, because we're the men, we just open up these doors to our sons. No, you open these doors up to your daughters as well. That's it. And it's funny because we'll have the mindset that says, as long, my sons will, I know of people who have taken their sons to have sex when they turn like 14. That's so out of order and inappropriate. But because we ain't dealt with our issues, this stuff trickles down into our children, talking about because I was there. No. We don't want to do that. Be the type of man that will set the standard. Be the man that will be a trendsetter. Don't be the man that want to be like everybody else and do what every other man has done. Just because every other man has done it doesn't mean you have to do it. Just because every other man hasn't done it, that's a lie from the enemy. The thing is, they be lying, and a lot of these dudes, they be lying, y'all. A lot of these guys don't be on. A lot of these men ain't done nothing. Ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got nothing.
But we believe it because of perception. And so, but be the man that will set the standard, that will say, I'm going to stand for holiness, I'm going to stand for righteousness, I'm going to have morals, I'm going to have values, I'm going to be the one that will look in the enemy's face, that will look at this harlot in the face and say, hey, no, you will not have my family, you will not have my children, you will not have my wife. I love them too much, and if I got to turn away from you with your fine, you might be fine. Listen, Delilah was not Delilah. What's the girl that was on the roof? With David. Bathsheba was fine. She wasn't just listen, it's a bunch of Bathshebas running around here that actually look beautiful on the outside. But guess what? It doesn't matter how she looks. Don't fall into that temptation, because you have something at home that you got to build. And once you open them doors, it is so hard to shut. So be the man that will set the standard for your children, and be the one that will have respect for yourself. Respect yourself, men. We deal with this with women and telling them to respect themselves. No, men, respect yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't be afraid of your story.
I'm telling you.
A lot right now, I know you guys have seen some of you guys have seen how Oprah got up there and shared her story. But one of the ways that you will tremendously bless somebody is not being afraid to tell your story.
Absolutely.
I don't care how dirty, I don't care how dysfunctional,
how nasty,
I don't care how
nasty
or crazy it is. You don't know who you could bless as a result of being obedient and telling your story. There are some people that may be appalled by it, but there are some people that will be blessed.
Yeah.
So whatever the case is, it does not matter. Tell your story.
Yeah.
The Word of God says, and the truth shall make you free. And so you need to begin to be transparent and honest about what you have been through and the things that you've experienced, if for nothing else, for the purposes of somebody else being free.
Yeah.
Me and my husband have stepped out and we've shared our story and told how we've come together, and we did not have the fairy tale story. We did not come together like, probably like we should have.
Yeah.
But God's grace and His mercy, it was sufficient for us.
It was.
And because of His love towards us, He took a marriage that started out very dysfunctional, that had all of the recipe to end in divorce. And He sanctified it, and He made us holy and righteous. And for that, we can stand today and share stories and testimonies that will bless somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Because of the journey that we went through. And we trust. There's some people that hear our stories like, oh my gosh, that's too much. They doing too much. But guess what? It really doesn't matter, because Jesus said it like this. He says, I came to save that which was lost. Yeah. And so my story is not, if it's offensive to those that are already in a place in God, then praise God. But it's going to win somebody that's not. And so you need to have the same mentality. Don't worry about what people are going to say or what they're going to do. But you need to share what God has brought you out of, because it's going to bless somebody's life. It is going to bless somebody's life. And so tonight we just stand unashamed, just standing on the things that God has brought us out of: adultery and wrong relationship and dysfunction and arguing and fighting and contending with one another.
Absolutely.
And verbally abusive to one another. And there were so many things that transpired in our marriage, but today we can honestly bless God because we are free.
Hallelujah.
We are free, and we are able to tell somebody else about the freedom that you can have as well.
Absolutely, you can be free, and you don't have to cheat. We don't listen. We're not on here saying that it is sometimes it's a difficult thing to do. Like, we're going to be real about that. Sometimes it's a difficult thing to do.
Hard.
But it's doable though, and you kind of weigh your options, like which one is more important. And so I'm a believer that if someone wants something bad enough, they'll put the effort, they'll put forth the energy to make sure that it gets taken care of. And so if we want to work a job and make more money, we'll do that. And so if we want to keep our marriages, then I'll have to get some type of backbone and say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you.
Yes.
And sometimes we get caught up in not want to hurt people's feelings, but it's your feelings being hurt has nothing. I don't care about that if my marriage lies in the balance. Like it's so much of a broader scale than that. It's not. You don't have to engage in any conversation. You don't have to be the one that they look to that says, hey, he's fine or she fine. Who cares about that? Nobody cares about how you look. At the end of the day, if you lose your marriage, you're going to look crazy. You're going to look foolish. And the backlash, you're going to feel foolish because you lost a good thing. I love my wife dearly. I'm not losing her for nobody. I don't care about no hips. I don't care about no thighs. Y'all can have all that crap. I got some right here. Hey. Seriously, it doesn't matter, y'all. It doesn't matter. We are, my wife and I are in this thing together. And if a little tail, that's what they say back here, if a little tail go throw you off.
Little tail.
I'm talking about a little tail. It ain't even that much. If a little tail go throw you off, you know what I'm saying? Then you gotta kind of make decisions. Like it's not that important. It's not that important to say I slept with him or her, or not even sleeping with, or I'm engaging in conversation with her. You know, I can do this, I can do that. No, let's get this thing in order. Get our marriages together, and let's leave this thing alone. Let's grow our families together.
Yes, let's grow our families.
Absolutely.
And so we thank you guys that joined in with us tonight. I hope you were blessed. The question that we had to answer tonight was it cheating or not?
Yeah.
And the reality is that it is cheating.
It's cheating.
And so we thank you guys that came on and listened and just joined us tonight. Listen, we thank you for your support.
We appreciate you all.
We pray that you guys are being blessed by these every Monday at 7 p.m. We ask that you would share this with friends and just people that you think will be blessed by this. And we just ask that you would pray for my husband and I as we be obedient to move this to the next level that God is dealing with us on, and just pray our strength, and we pray your strength, and we pray for strong marriages everywhere.
Absolutely.
And we will be announcing the coming next Marriage Matters event in February. And we ask that those of you that can be with us, that you would join us. We'll have that all posted to the page.
Yeah.
You can follow our page at Marriage Matters on Facebook, as well as you can email us at marriagematters818@gmail.com with any questions or concerns.
Yeah.
We thank you guys for joining us tonight. We just say God bless you, and your marriage matters.
It matters. Listen, we love you. Thank you all. Continue to share this. Continue to support us. We love you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. God bless you.
Have a good evening.
Bye.